Hello, everybody. I apologize. I am a little bit late. I was having some wonderful technical issues. Um, Also, I apologize to anybody who is normally on Instagram, um, because my Instagram needs to be reconnected to the video platform that I use, which is Wave dot video. I'm just on the live stream, making sure that it works. And then we'll get started. I apologize. I know I told everyone that I would soon be working from my new office since we just recently moved. Um, but as much as I wanted that to be the case, I still need to find some more screws for my desk before I can put my desk together. So give me just a second. And making sure that the live stream works on Facebook. Um, I truly, truly apologize for the last couple of months not having been able to do our usual weekly talks. I really miss these, but with the move, it was so hard to have the extra time to put together a slide deck, um, also to be able to put together a script and input everything all into um, my slide. So give me just a moment. All right. Also, I apologize. Okay, I have my volume down so I can kind of sort of be able to tell, uh, be able to tell words. Um, can't words, sorry. So I can be able to tell if we have any issues. God, I'm lagging personally so bad. Um, I hope that everyone is doing well. Um, give me some updates in everybody's business. How have you guys been doing? What are some wins you've had? Uh, give me any of the big updates, guys. I want to hear it. Absolutely want to hear it. As you guys know, I always have an energy drink. For those of you who are new here, I don't normally do introductions, but I feel like I should start um, every now and then. So you guys won't get an introduction every single video, but for at least this purpose, and on the occasional potential future ones, I will be introducing myself. So I am Ray. I am your unhinged, um, energy drink loving, um, autistic, disabled, LGBTQ business owner. And my business is here to help everybody within the economically disadvantaged communities that has a small business, low income businesses, women's businesses, minority businesses, small businesses, micro businesses. If you have a hobby that you are looking to turn into a full scale business, You're part of my crew. You're part of the demographic that I specifically help with. I work with all kinds of businesses, contractors. Um, I work with boutiques, um, little resin shops, you name it. If there's a product or a service that you're looking to sell, I most likely have it as a niche or as a future potential niche that I will be working with in the future. I offer affordable business consulting, um, mostly administrative work. So I am officially titled an online business manager, but basically, what an online business manager is an administrative assistant with more skills. Uh, so I play a hand in a little bit of everything. I can handle payroll problems. I can handle cleaning out your email box. I can schedule your work trips, help deal with some event planning, and that type of stuff, resource finding. Um, I would eventually love to have an entire section where we do nonprofit work just for small businesses. Right now, we do offer pro bono slots to two uh, small business clients. Um, Otherwise, we do work with businesses. We offer very flexible, scaled pricing and all of that. Um, so enough about me. Oh, and by the way, I am a little unhinged. I swear like a sailor, and I believe in kindness and humanity first. Uh, so enough about me. Again, I want to hear all about everybody's wins. Um, I will also be watching the comments, and I will try to answer your comments on air. If I do not get to them, I will absolutely go into the comments and answer them later. And this will be shared to my Facebook group as well. Sorry, I am also a big, huge allergy mess right now. Um, because um, I, like an idiot, did not read, and I opened up a soap scent because I had ended up grabbing hand soap and I was trying to determine like which one did I like better, and I didn't read, and the scent was pine, and I'm allergic to pine. So my allergies have been acting up horrendously since yesterday. Um, so yes, that was my fault, and I'm regretting my life choices. Uh, but yeah. Okay, so we are getting into week 3. If you guys would like, I can go back and link in the comments after the previous 2 weeks, just so that you guys can get caught up, especially since it's been a little bit of time. But let's talk about the shrinking pie. Uh, why a lack of demand is your biggest problem. Um, and as you can see here, if a business fails in the woods and there are no customers to hear it, did it even make a sound? Basically, what that means is if your business fails and there's no customers to hear it, did you even give yourself the opportunity to make a difference? Um, and so, welcome to week 3. This week, we will be getting into the real heart of the matter. And the problem, you can't fix it with just a better business plan or a shiny website. The problem is simple. If there are no customers, or at least not enough, then it quietly ran out of money and closed its doors while no one was watching. So basically, you need to do whatever it takes to attract those customers. You want to start with customer service. Make sure that you are offering forward facing customer service. And that is one of the most affordable things that you can do. We will get into that in a whole another topic in a future discussion because I have a book that I absolutely love. And it is by Peter Shankman. It is called Zombie Loyalists. And I have a whole awards that I would like to start up and that I will be trying to start up as I start connecting with more businesses in the Pittsburgh area. I have a few, but I really want to make sure that there is a proper awareness before I start doing the Brains Award. But I got the idea for the Brains Award thanks to Mr. Shankman's book. Um, and so if anybody sends this to Peter Shankman, again, I know I thanked you a couple of years ago when I asked you if I could use your acronym brains for this award and got your permission. I truly appreciate it. I've got certificates all drawn up and made, and I'm so lucky to be able to present this opportunity to other small businesses in the Pittsburgh area uh, as it gains more notoriety. Um, so yes, but Zombie Loyalist teaches you to bring random amazement into normal situations. It is my favorite acronym. He calls it BRAINS, and it doesn't take a lot of brains or money to do it. One of my favorite stories that he outlines in this is a story that happened to a couple who had arrived at a Red Robin. And I know this is totally off topic. It's not, but it is. Um, they arrived at a Red Robin. The wife was in labor. She wanted to eat before, she went and had a baby. And so, um, Red Robin, after they had finished their meal, had given the mom a new mom to be discount. And they had also, once they heard that the baby had arrived, sent a small little care package for the baby, including a Red Robin onesie. Uh, and I mean, the parents posted all about this. They raved. And that was such good attention for Red Robin. And it cost them, what, maybe $25? Um, and so it was just a wonderful way to say thank you to um, a customer and to make a situation that is as normal as having a baby uh, an extraordinary opportunity for them, something that them and that baby will remember forever. So this is the simple idea behind the brains. Um, acronym. And so just bring random amazement into normal situations. Go above and beyond for your customer as much as you can. And that word of mouth will really help to give you that impact that you need to be able to, if you fail, have people actually care that you failed. Um, and so we're here to talk about the shrinking pie. It's a beautifully simple metaphor, I apologize, for a very ugly truth. In many distressed communities, there just is not enough disposable income to go around. And so you really need to attract those customers from outside of your community as well, not just those within. You can have the best product in the entire world, but if no one can afford it, it might as well not exist. This isn't just a marketing problem. It's a fundamental economic reality. Uh, so basically, you can market all you want to your local clientele, but if they cannot afford to come into you, utilize whatever you are offering, be it snow removal or construction or plumbing, electrical, maybe you are a small thrift store and you're trying to sell pre-loved clothes. Or even if you are a small boutique and you're trying to highlight other small businesses, um, if people can't afford what you're selling, they're not going to buy it. But just so we are aware, putting everything on sale all the time also isn't the answer. So what is? We're going to get into that right now. Okay. So we currently have the vicious cycle. Yeah, sorry. I had to make sure that this was not from the previous week because I duplicated some of the uh old slides so that I can just rearrange everything to make my life a little easier. So we have the downward spiral of economic stagnation. And what this means is that in economically distressed areas, lower household incomes and higher poverty rate also mean that people have almost no discretionary income. And what that means is between the money for food, rent, necessities, how are they also going to afford things like going to a local bookshop or going to a local coffee shop or having even a nice dinner out? Even if you're affordable to people in other areas, you might not be affordable to your local community. These are considered luxuries, and they are the first things that people throw out of their budget. So what this does is this creates a self-reinforcing negative feedback loop or a downward spiral. Less money to spend leads to less spending, which means lower revenue, which then means that you can't afford to pay the higher wages or hire more people, which keeps local incomes low. The closed loop system of economic misery. The market isn't just small, it's stagnant. And it's trapping both businesses and residents in this cycle. So just to give you guys, and I'm sure that if you're on my normal Facebook page, um, you guys have seen me complain about stagnant wages. And I'm not advocating for any political side. Um, I'm actually considered an independent. And so I hold some conservative views, I hold some progressive views. But here's a view that shouldn't even be argued because these are cold, hard statistical facts. So those cold, hard statistical facts are literally that we have had stagnant wages since 1968. That is actually the last year that we have had a livable wage. At that time in 1968, the average wage was $12.88 an hour. As of May of 2025, the average income still reported is $12.88 an hour. So what that basically means is while the rising cost of everything has skyrocketed, and just to prove my point, since 1968, our inflation has gone up 830%. Something that cost $1 in 1968 now costs $9.08. That came directly from the US Treasury's website. Now, that impact basically means that since 1968, almost 50 years, more than 50 years, something like that. Math is terrible. Not my strong suit. This is why I have somebody to deal with my financial and mathematical stuff for me. Um, but so since 1968, the wages haven't increased, but yet the cost to buy food, gas, electric, rent, to get something fixed have all gone up. Cell phones, internet, all of that. The price has gone up despite how much we make. And so what was a livable wage in 1968 at $12.88 an hour has long outstripped the cost of living. And so nobody has the ability to pay for rent, electric, gas, car payment, insurance, all of the necessities of life, and still be able to pay for things like going to the movies, going to an arcade, that type of stuff. It is really hard to justify spending $200 at Kennywood when that's coming out of your grocery money for the month, or even coming out of what you have to spend for your business every month. This is exactly that loop that they're talking about. Which then brings us to the next problem that these small businesses tend to face, which is the hiring hunger game. Hiring in small business today just really is the equivalent of the Hunger Games. Big corporations have an entire HR department dedicated to stealing your talent with six-figure salaries, 401ks, free kombucha on tap, along with things like travel expenses paid and health insurance. Meanwhile, you're just trying to lure candidates with flexible hours and maybe a free lunch on Friday. To a lot of employees, that's not going to mean a lot anymore. Many employees have forgotten that loyalty to a company is more than just how much they're getting paid and the benefits that they're getting. Why? Because we have become part of such a rat race that we can't stop moving. And the moment we stop moving, we stop being rewarded for it. Whereas back in the day, you built loyalty by having, team outings and corporate, uh, picnics and that type of stuff. But that stuff doesn't matter anymore. Um, and really, to keep your employees happy, you have to remind them that that employee culture means a lot. It doesn't mean more than being able to be paid a livable wage, but it adds something to their job. It adds meaning, it adds compassion, it adds empathy, it adds character, it adds kindness, and it gives them a much needed break where corporate businesses are not going to give you that. In distressed regions, it's even worse. Your local talent pool is actually more like a talent puddle. Even when you find skilled people, barriers like housing, childcare, or even just a bus ride to work can keep them from showing up consistently. How do we handle that? See if we can work with local daycares to give employee discounts. You know, try to start up things like maybe a company food bank. Find ways to solve some of these challenges. Maybe start up a carpool for the people who struggle to be able to take the bus or who can't afford an Uber or Lyft. And reward those employees for giving back. So it's not just about pay, it's a layered problem of access, logistics, and systemic mismatches between workers and employers. And workers always assume that the businesses that they're working for have significantly more money than they sometimes do. Now, if you're a company like Macy's, then yes, I guarantee that your funds outweigh what you pay your employees by a lot. But small businesses struggle with that. Small businesses right now are still relying on discounts and tax breaks that came from the COVID era just to make it so that they can pay their employees from one month to the next. But don't throw in the towel yet. There are scrappy and affordable solutions to help you compete. Now, we're going to do some myth busting. And if you know me, Mythbusters was a favorite of mine. So, this myth is that nobody wants to work. And again, that is a fact. And I will use my own life as an example. So, as a mom of multiple children, we have 3 children between my husband and I. And I'm going to break away from the live stream for just a minute um, to give you a little piece of reality. It's not that people don't want to work, but in many distressed communities, they literally can't. Here's some of the issues facing and why childcare is so important sometimes and why life can get in the way. So I am a disabled small business owner. I work for myself. I make my own schedule. If somebody gets too bossy, I don't have to work with them. But my week, this week, would not allow me to work a normal 9 to 5 job. Here's what my week looks like. So my husband is at work today from 4 to midnight. My husband works most of the week from 4 to midnight. Uh, and here's some of the appointments that I have coming up this week. I have my blended service coordinator tomorrow at 10. I have my cardiologist. I have working with the SBDC. Thankfully, my Tuesday is pretty clear. And then there's therapy for my kids at some point this week. And then my daughter has a flu shot at some point this week. And I have therapy. Thankfully, my therapy is at home. But then I also have an SBDC training. I actually have 2 of them this week. And then there's the orthopedist for me at some point this week. There is a therapy session for my oldest at some point this week, and I have my psych rehab specialist this week. I have a very full week. And how do you fit that in? I mean, I just named off at least 6 different appointments between myself and 2 of my 3 children. And imagine if I couldn't work around my schedule. Imagine if I was going to be, having to leave work to do these things. I would only be able to work 2 or 3 hours. That isn't enough to bring in a livable income no matter what you're getting paid. And then think about it. What happens if there's no bus system? Say maybe they can't drive, maybe they have vision issues. Um, Maybe they have muscle coordination issues. Maybe um, they are facing intellectual challenges. Maybe they're wheelchair bound and are not able to push pedals. Um, how would they then get to work at that point? They can't afford an Uber or a Lyft, especially if they can't use a bus or if they can't afford the bus. Then there's childcare. How are they supposed to get to work in between all of these types of appointments that they have every week, on top of trying to make sure that they have consistent childcare? Consistent childcare is not cheap. Um, Even when my kids were working, I worked at the daycares that my children went to, and still, even with an employee discount, it was usually around like $1,200 a month for just one child. Uh, and then what about affordable housing? Rent costs are outrageous, absolutely outrageous. Um, how do you pay for childcare when it's at minimum $1,200? Let's say rent $2,300. Then you have utilities and food, and heaven forbid you make just enough that you don't qualify for any assistance. That type of stuff can really weigh on somebody. Then what happens if somebody's unhoused? They're too busy needing to couch surf to focus on your job listing that would help them get ahead. Because in some ways, if they're already couch surfing and struggling, your income, while yes, it would be a little bit helpful, could very well disqualify them for so many benefits. High school dropout rates are at a high, and there's low college completion rates, which means that there's a persistent skills gap, especially within low income communities and communities of color. And I can speak for this myself. I am a low income mom, and I have been trying for ages to be able to get into college. Um, and there are colleges near me, like CMU, that offer free tuition for anybody under $75,000. But those types of college programs are so few and far between that college is out of reach for many people. And even jobs that don't require a lot of skill are now requiring even certificates that would require you to go to a college location. And again, we fall under the how do we get there? How do we ensure that we have childcare, food, clothes to be able to have this job? Because of these issues, employers are left consistently understaffed. And on average, small businesses report being short about 5 employees, usually in very critical roles like sales, marketing, or even vendor support. Usually, these turnovers create a revolving door of costs that can cost you anywhere from 50 to 200% of what it would cost you to keep that employee on an annual salary. Every single time somebody leaves, it's not just a headache, it is a financial hemorrhage. You are then having to make up those costs in closing for certain hours of the day because you may not have the staff, ordering less stock so that you're not driving in too many customers to outstrip your employees' capabilities to handle things. Because let's face it, us and our employees cannot be awake and available to our clients 24/7. So here's the real kicker. Salaries are just the tip of the iceberg. Every time you lose an employee, you lose weeks and sometimes months of productivity. You spend precious hours training a replacement only for them to leave again. And not just precious hours, but it takes funds and resources that your business may not be able to constantly afford to train and retrain. And suddenly it starts that cycle all over again. Meanwhile, you, the owner, are wearing all 12 different hats. You're HR, you're the accountant, you're the janitor, you're the social media manager. Not to mention, you are also scheduling and handling vendor support and client support and customer support. Your focus is then shattered your growth potential is then throttled. And sometimes that bottleneck brings all of that potential to a drip instead of a small, steady flow. Every ounce of energy is then spent just trying to keep your lights on and your remaining employees there. Chronic understaffing means that you can then not delegate properly. And when you can't delegate, you cannot innovate. And because you can't innovate, you're then losing customers. This is how businesses end up stuck in survival mode instead of scaling. And the workforce system is often misaligned and disconnected from real employers' needs. It's like running a marathon in quicksand, especially when you're going up against corporations that have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to spend on their employees. And let's not forget, it's not just that they're spending this much money on their employees, they are also spending this much money on providing a mediocre customer experience. So remember, a good way that you can outstrip those larger corporations, make a very employee and customer client based business, something where people walk into your store, your shop, your building, your whatever, even if it's just them coming into your inbox because you're remote like me. Um, they feel welcomed. They feel appreciated right from the door. So let's get into cheap tricks that actually work. So you can't buy talent like the big dogs, but you can retain it. This means being real with your team, be transparent about financial challenges, and offer creative solutions, such as flexible hours or remote work days, especially since a lot of the big companies now are moving away from remote work. This gives them the opportunity to still find a work life balance. It helps build a supportive culture that keeps people sticking around. Next, you have to make your staff more versatile. Offer cross training. Turn your two-person team into a five-function workplace. Need marketing covered? Train your front desk person. Need sales calls answered? Your operations lead can then pitch in. Your operations lead is already phenomenal at talking over your products all the time. And they are great with talking to other people, even if you're not. And let's be honest, stop wasting time on those tasks that don't make you money. Outsource bookkeeping, that would be my job. Admin, again, my job. Social media, outsource these to freelancers or small businesses like me who help leverage you in these communities. Uh, and let's take your business and leverage it to things like community colleges, workforce boards, and training agencies. These institutions will literally bridge the skills gap, and they're designed to help customize job training. Um, and many of these, such as like the SBDC, they are free or cheap. They also offer mentoring for a lot of them. So if you're in the Pittsburgh area, there is the SBDC with the University of Pittsburgh. There is Panther Lab Works, which is one of the organizations that I work with. You can get to them through the SBDC. There is also SCORE, and a lot of your local chamber of commerces. They will often offer skills trainings and things like that. If you need more skills training resources, let me know. I will be more than happy to share what I have. But tap into these. Build your pipeline. It's not glorious, but it's effective and it will get your employees much of the training that they need. The SBDC is always having trainings. I am going to be watching training number 2 in a Starting Up Your Business series. And this one talks about business plans. The last one talked about what are your options when starting up a business. They even had a business attorney who was on talking about the various startup methods, such as like solopreneur, or not solopreneur, sole proprietor and partner and general partnerships and LLCs and corporations, S Corp and C Corp, talking about the differences, the pros and cons, the types of businesses that they could help. So again, while these approaches are not glamorous, they can absolutely help. Join free networking events. I just recently did the Guru Conference. It's my favorite email marketing conference of the year, every year. I have been joining them since they started. They are fantastic. It's 90s themed. If you have not heard of them, I will drop the link for them, or I'll at least tag them. Uh, they are the same thing on Facebook and Instagram. It's 90s themed. It's always live, always virtual. They do the craziest things. It's always a fun time. 2 days, you get tons of freebies. And those freebies, you can even add to your own employee training for emails and email marketing and digital marketing, because a lot of these tips and tricks are not just things that you can utilize as for emails. Some of them you can cross over into making more engaging social media posts and things like that. It's really cool. One of the first years that they had it, they had Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart. And this year they had Nicole Kidman opening. Like, loved it. They also had Flavor Flav doing a air guitar contest. We actually made a Guinness Book of World Records happen. 215 people simultaneously air guitaring. It was so cool. It was awesome to be a part of, and there's always some big thing that they're doing. All right, here's your cheat sheet. Step 1, create a basic onboarding plan. Doesn't need to be fancy. Just write down how you introduce your new hires to your systems, who they're going to shadow, when they're going to shadow them, and when you check in. Step 2, cross-train your current staff. This isn't just about efficiency. It makes people feel invested and valuable. Step 3, use your local resources, career centers, workforce agencies. They all have candidates who are literally enrolled in training programs and actively looking for opportunities. Step 4, and Bamboo HR will back me up on this. If you don't know what Bamboo HR is, go look. Morale matters. Okay. It does not have to cost money, but morale and company culture matter. Make your employees feel valued, and you will retain their skills, their loyalty, and perhaps you will be able to bring on more talent that they know. A 5-minute check in, a cup of coffee, or even just recognizing someone's amazing work can go a long way. And the more you consistently reward your employees in small ways, it beats flashy ways, beats those big dinners, and things like that. All right. So we talked a lot about various things that we can do as some action steps to help build company culture, retain those employees, and develop new skill sets. Another great thing is there is a website called Handshake. And you can get uh, interns from colleges through Handshake. Some will be paid, some will be unpaid. You post your proposal and you bring in people from that. Um, it's really awesome. I highly recommend that you guys check it out. Another one of my favorite training tools is oneday.com. You can get a master's in business administration for roughly $27,000, and you don't need to have any prior college experience. I will also put them in the comments once I am finished with this. Um, I highly recommend them. One day was on Shark Tank. They're backed by Shark Tank. They have incredible mentors. I have applied for One Day. I will be doing One Day myself as well. As soon as we can get my credit to where I can be accepted for their payment plans, because they do also offer payment plans, amazing payment plans. Um, I just had a name change, so my credit wasn't quite attached yet. So we needed to wait for that to be all done. And now that it's complete, I will be able to reassess my credit here soon. So I'm really excited to also be working with One Day. And they work on getting your business as profitable as they can, as quickly as they can. They say that most businesses, depending on how hard you work uh, and how well you follow the guidelines and the roadmap set out for you by their business experts, um, you will then, be able to grow much faster. But they say the average is roughly 8 months before they become profitable. And it's an 18-month program. So, you'll still have almost an entire year to go and you should be profitable, which is really awesome. All right. So that is everything that I have for you guys today. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in and watched. Um, I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, any comments, please put them below. I look forward to reading them all. You guys can also email me. My email is Raelynn, RAELYNN, at cosmiclotusconsult.com. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. I will add in some of those extra links that I had talked about and mentioned before. And I look forward to talking to everybody next week for week 4. And week 4 is the talent tug of war. Why small businesses can't win on salary alone. And I know that this talk seemed to be very financially heavy. Next week's will also be a little on the financially heavy side. So I apologize. But this type of stuff is really important. And it's really important because these are the basics of business. We haven't even gotten into some of the bigger questions with business. So thank you so much, everybody, for your time today, your patience, and I look forward to seeing everybody next week. Bye.